Hey friends, I'm Pragmatik and I like to talk about video games. And today I want to say, video games? They're pretty expensive. Especially when considering the PS1 library, which is what we're talking about today. You might want to go recheck and see what you've got in your library because right now, PS1 games are getting ridiculous. And I'm going to list 5 of my games that I feel are the most valuable. I want to note here that I'm listing these prices as the time I'm recording them, so they can fluctuate up or down. They could get better or worse. But for now, these are what these set prices are as of this recording. Honestly, I saw Nefarious Wes and Dongle do this, and I had to go back to my small collection of PS1 games and see what I had, and I was surprised. And my number 1 spot is honestly the most surprising. So let's get into it. First up, we have Threads of Fate, which may be a game that flew under the radar for a lot of people. It was developed by Squaresoft, and I think it's pretty great. I've got a review coming soon-ish for it, but even I don't think this is worth the current price of $107.30. And that is mind-blowing to think that this is the cheapest game on my list. This game is fun, but it ain't that fun. So let's move on. Next up, we have Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. And I will say my copy is probably not worth the price tag it's getting because my manual is, well, it's awful. But the game quality is another story. This is actually probably one of my favorite fighting games on the PS1. I like it even a little bit more than Marvel vs. Capcom. It has this great method of combining attacks together and renaming them with each character's move into like a whole new move. And right now, if you want this game in your list, well, it's probably going to run you the current price of $132.49, which is ridiculous. So next up is a game that I also feel fell under the radar for a lot of people, but it's a pretty great game, and it's Torneko: The Last Hope. This whole game is kind of strange. The opening is this weird claymation style, and it features one of the main characters of Dragon Quest IV, or Dragon Warrior IV, depending on when you played it. It's Torneko the Merchant as he goes through each little dungeon and collects items and brings it back to his village for profit, and it's just a pretty interesting game. But if you want to play this one, it's going to run you just about $144.59. To be honest, I've not even known about this game until a few years ago, so I'm not too surprised at its price, but it's still pretty up there for a hardcore collector. Next up on the list is a game I thought was going to take the number 1 spot, but apparently that's not the case. You may be familiar with this as I reviewed this a few months ago, but it's Einhander. Einhander is a terrific game. It's a intense shoot 'em up that will really just keep you on the edge of your seat, as it's one of those get shot once and you're dead type of games. And while I do love and appreciate the absolute quality of the game, I cannot justify anybody spending $223.44 for this game. When I bought this game, I will say I thought it was pretty up there. It was a hefty price tag, but it definitely wasn't $223. So if you're a hardcore collector or you just love shoot 'em ups, that may be the price you have to pay just to get this game. Because unfortunately this game is not on a lot of other platforms. I don't think it's on the PSN store still, and I don't think they've ever released a different version of this game. The game that holds the number 1 spot for my most expensive game actually surprised me, because I feel like out of all the games I've listed, I've seen this game the most in game stores. And that game is Tales of Destiny. Now, Tales of Destiny is a great game. It is a game I grew up with, and I remember getting it by trading some other game with one of my best friends at the time. It is one of the first Tales of series, and is actually the only Tales of game I'm familiar with. But I loved every moment of it, and while I do think it's worth a hefty price, I don't think it quite holds the value of $247.67. That is ridiculous for this game, because I feel like I still kind of see it everywhere. And the fact that I just see it increase and increase in price is ridiculous. The thing is, though, is like, this is quite a nice game. It's got a beautiful manual, and wait a minute, my disc seems to be missing. Nope, that's because there's only one disc, and it's in the back. You can't even put this disc in the front part. It's just part of the artwork. A lot of PS1 games would do this if they had a big manual that was possibly too big for just a standard jewel case. But there you go, that is my top 5 games that are the most valuable in my collection. It's strange to see how much these games have fluctuated. I would have never in a million years have thought that Tales of Destiny would have taken the #1 spot, but that's just how video games work, I guess. Honestly, right now, this is possibly the craziest time for video games, as PS3 games, PS1 games, GameCube games, they're all fluctuating at like an enormous rate. So I encourage you to, if you are a collector, go see what you have and check out what it's selling for. Because, I mean, not that I'd ever encourage you to sell your games, but if you need some cash, now might be the time to do it. With that, have a great one. Get out of my house.